Judge immediately rejected a defense request for a mistrial in the trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
What if one of Hollywood's most respected legends finally spoke up about the dark connections hiding behind the red carpet smiles? Denzel Washington, a man known for his discipline, integrity, and silence on gossip, reportedly couldn't ignore it anymore. When whispers began linking Oprah Winfrey, the queen of empathy, to Diddy's disturbing downfall, it wasn't just another tabloid headline. It was a signal that something much bigger and far more unsettling might be happening behind the scenes. And once Denzel raised an eyebrow, the world started paying attention. For years, Diddy seemed untouchable. A mogul who turned parties into power plays, yachts into boardrooms, and red carpets into runways for his empire. Surrounded by A-listers, wealth, and influence, he painted the picture of ultimate success. But behind the champagne toasts and flashing cameras, something far darker was brewing, and when it surfaced, it hit like a wrecking ball. The lawsuits came first, not the usual celebrity spats or contract disputes, but allegations that chilled even the most jaded observers. Accusations of trafficking, of drugging women, of extortion, and worse, claims so serious that federal agents launched multi-state raids. They seized evidence said to be so disturbing that it shook seasoned investigators. The flashy mogul image shattered overnight, replaced by headlines that hinted at secret rooms, NDAs, and rituals no one wanted to believe were real. But as the walls closed in on Diddy, one question echoed louder than the rest. Who stood by his side all these years, and who's staying silent now? On the surface, Oprah Winfrey and Diddy appeared to share a bond built on respect and mutual admiration. The photos told the story, smiling together at star-studded events, sharing heartfelt moments on talk shows, even standing side by side on stages that celebrated their success. To fans, it looked like two titans of their industries supporting each other. But when Diddy's world began to unravel, something strange happened. Oprah said nothing. This wasn't just any scandal. The allegations against Diddy weren't rumors whispered at parties, they were front-page headlines, backed by federal investigations. And yet, the woman who built a brand on empathy and integrity chose silence. No statement. No distance. No acknowledgement. For someone who has always spoken out about justice, healing, and truth, her silence felt deafening. It made people ask, was Oprah's connection to Diddy just friendship, or something more strategic? Why would one of the most powerful voices in media go quiet at a moment like this? And as Denzel reportedly began to question that silence, others started to wonder too. Oprah's connection to Diddy wasn't the first time she stood beside powerful men, only to fall silent when their dark secrets came to light. In fact, if you look closely, there's a pattern. Take Harvey Weinstein. Oprah once praised him publicly, shared stages, hugged him like family at industry events, all while whispers about his behavior circled behind the scenes. And when those whispers exploded into headlines, what did Oprah do? She didn't confront him. Instead, she offered a polished, vague speech about a watershed moment. Careful, controlled, but lacking real accountability. The same pattern showed with Jeffrey Epstein, with John of God, and now Diddy. Again and again, Oprah's alliances with powerful, controversial figures seemed to follow a script. Stand close when they're rising, disappear when they fall. It raises the question, are these friendships about admiration or calculation? Denzel's reported discomfort wasn't about gossip. It was about spotting these patterns and realizing they might point to something much bigger, something hiding in plain sight. Because when silence follows scandal, it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like strategy. For years, Oprah has been celebrated as a champion of empowerment, especially for Black women. But behind the scenes, the stories tell a different tale. Look at The Color Purple, a major film Oprah co-produced. Taraji P. Henson, an Oscar-nominated star, nearly walked away from the project. Why? She was offered shockingly low pay, a deal so unfair it echoed what Monique had revealed years earlier. Monique's story goes deeper. In 2008, she confided in Oprah about being abused by her brother, trusting her with that painful truth. But instead of protecting Monique, Oprah blindsided her, inviting not only the brother, but also Monique's estranged parents onto her show without warning. What was presented as compassion felt more like exploitation, all for ratings. These weren't isolated incidents. They reflected a troubling pattern: public speeches about lifting up Black women, but private actions that told another story. And that's the duality Denzel reportedly couldn't ignore: the split between Oprah's image and the reality behind the curtain. Because when those who preach empowerment turn their backs in private, people start asking, what's the real motive? Denzel Washington isn't known for chasing headlines. When he reportedly raised concerns, it wasn't about isolated scandals, it was about a deeper, more disturbing pattern. Because as Diddy's empire crumbled, as lawsuits exposed horrifying claims of trafficking, abuse, and secrecy, the names that surfaced alongside his weren't random. They formed a web: Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and, shockingly, Oprah. It was Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, who stirred the pot further. He didn't just call out Diddy's alleged crimes. He pointed to a network, a system of influence, silence, and protection where powerful figures shield each other when the spotlight turns dangerous. This wasn't just about individual bad actors. It hinted at a machine designed to keep the truth buried. And in that machine, Oprah's name kept popping up, not because of what she said, but because of what she didn't. Denzel's reported discomfort wasn't about one friendship gone wrong. It was about recognizing the bigger picture. Because when the same names keep surfacing in scandal after scandal, it stops looking like coincidence and starts to look like a warning. When you look at Oprah's history with powerful men, another pattern emerges: selective outrage. Loud when it's safe, silent when it counts. And for the celebrities who've crossed paths with her, that double standard left scars. Take Ludacris. He appeared on Oprah's show in 2005 to promote Crash, a film that would win an Oscar. But instead of celebrating the success, Oprah focused on criticizing his music. That wasn't the problem. The problem was what came next. Every part of the interview where Ludacris defended himself, edited out. What aired made him look guilty and submissive, a narrative carefully crafted to fit the image she wanted. Then there's 50 Cent. He accused Oprah of pandering to white audiences, of distancing herself from the Black community. His words were harsh, but they echoed what others felt. Ice Cube, a cultural icon, was iced out completely. No invite for Barbershop, Straight Outta Compton, or any of his major works, simply because his views didn't fit her script. It's a pattern that's hard to ignore. Because when outrage is selective and narratives are controlled, it stops being about justice and starts being about power. Oprah's pattern of selective support didn't just impact rising stars, it touched some of the biggest icons the world has ever known. Take Michael Jackson. He welcomed Oprah into Neverland, trusted her with a rare, intimate interview that became legendary. For years, Oprah celebrated that moment. But after Michael's death, everything changed. She gave a platform to his accusers, men who'd testified under oath that nothing had happened. To many, that felt like betrayal. The timing, the tone, it seemed less about truth, more about chasing controversy. And then there's John of God. Oprah once hailed him as a miraculous healer, praising him on her show for transforming lives. But the truth was far darker. He was later exposed as a predator running a trafficking ring, chaining women and selling their babies. And what did Oprah do? Quietly erased all traces of him. No apology, no accountability, just silence. These weren't one-off mistakes. They were part of a larger pattern, one where alliances were formed when they served the brand, and abandoned when the truth got ugly. And that silence? It spoke volumes. Oprah's silence in the face of scandal didn't stop with fallen icons. Even when controversies surrounded her own projects, the same pattern appeared: protect the brand, stay quiet, move on. Remember her elite South African girls' school? It was meant to be a symbol of hope. But when a staff member was arrested for abusing students, Oprah's transparency vanished. The world expected a leader's accountability. Instead, they got carefully worded statements, no real answers, and no deep reflection on what went wrong. And then came Maui. Wildfires tore through the island, destroying homes and lives. But Oprah's vast estates? Untouched. Rather than offering aid from her immense wealth, she launched a fundraiser, asking everyday people to help, while she remained comfortably distant. The optics were impossible to ignore. Even Seal, the Grammy-winning artist, called her out, suggesting she knew about Harvey Weinstein's abuses, but stayed silent. Days later, Seal faced his own legal trouble, a battery charge that was quickly dropped, but raised eyebrows about timing. Comedian Cat Williams said it outright. Oprah didn't just tell stories. She controlled narratives, rewarding loyalty, punishing dissent. And all the while, the brand stayed spotless. Denzel Washington's reported warning wasn't about stirring up drama. It was about asking the questions no one else seemed brave enough to voice. For decades, Oprah Winfrey built an image of empathy, justice, and empowerment. But behind that image, the patterns tell a different story, one of selective outrage, strategic silence, and alliances that served the brand until they became a liability. From Diddy to Weinstein, from John of God to her own projects, time and again the same thing happened. Support when it was easy, silence when the truth got uncomfortable. And when those who dared to speak out, whether it was Monique, 50 Cent, Seal, or Cat Williams, found themselves sidelined or smeared, the picture became clear. Denzel reportedly saw through the polished surface to what was really hiding in plain sight. A system where power protects itself and silence is its sharpest tool. Maybe it's time we stop focusing on the smile and start questioning the shadows behind it. What do you think? Is Oprah protecting her brand or something far more troubling? Tell us in the comments.